St. Louis sports fans, go deeper with STL Sports Central Insiders. Get exclusive access to Bernie, Randy, Claves, Jamal Mayers, and more, plus your chance to watch a Blues game in the alumni box with Jamal himself. Monthly giveaways, Bernie's columns all week, and support for local sports media. Join now at stlsportscentral.com.
Baseball winter meetings have begun down in Orlando, Florida. A lot of discussions taking place at this point, but to this point also, no trades. My guess would be that we'll probably start to see a little bit of action tomorrow. Teams are kind of getting the lay of the land and talking to other teams. They're already pretty far down the line, I'm sure, after the general managers meetings in regards to who's going to be traded and who's not. As far as the Cardinals are concerned, it sure looks like, well, number one, Nolan Arenado is their top priority to get Nolan Arenado off the books. But in terms of a baseball move, I really think that Donovan is the player that is going to be moved if there is a move to be made for baseball reasons.
Yeah, a lot of Brendan Donovan and the Royals is being thrown out. Derek Gould mentioned the Cardinals have been interested in Noah Cameron. You can check it out on STL Sports Central, our Cardinals 365 today. Just go to the videos tab. If you're watching us right now, you're under the live tab. So just scroll over to the videos tab after we're done today. You can watch Brendan Schaefer and Joe Roderick do another whole round of Brendan Donovan to the Royals and why Noah Cameron makes a lot of sense. And my response, as it always has been, is of course Noah Cameron makes a lot of sense for the Cardinals. He also just happens to make a ton of sense for, the team that currently has him.
Right. And it's, I guess the question is
7 years of control. Yeah. Sure. Why not?
But also that's a pretty fertile market with the fact that you could go, if you wanted to trade for Ketel Marte, you could get him. There are other free agents. Jorge Polanco is out there.
And I guess that's my thing. If you're the Royals right now and you're having conversations about Ketel Marte, like that's somebody that you're talking about having to give up Cameron and another prospect. But like to go from a Ketel Marte conversation, we're talking about a guy who hits in the last couple, the 150 OPS pluses, and a guy who is Ketel Marte, 3-time All-Star who gets MVP votes. If you're having that conversation for those pitchers, as soon as if the Marte discussions don't happen and you move on to the Brendan Donovan conversations, you're bringing that offer down by a precipitous amount if you're the Royals, if you're trying to keep the same, value for value kind of thing. So I feel like that would be their discussion to try to get the biggest name possible for that position. And I'm not trying to take a shot at Brendan Donovan, but Ketel Marte, he's not.
He is not. And I would think that the Cardinals would, as they have said, they would need to be blown away. And they're probably thinking, okay, we might not even have any real substantive Brendan Donovan offers until Marte is off the books. And then it might be a team that is a little bit more desperate to add that left-handed hitting second baseman, third baseman, outfielder. I would think that would be the opportunity for the Cardinals if they were really going to strike while the iron is hot with a guy like Brendan Donovan. I think after Marte would get traded is the time that they would have to look at.
We got a comment here from Jordan Hall. Where does Cameron profile as a starter going forward? What would a trade centered around him look like? Listen, it's very clear to me that my expectations and where I'm ranking Noah Cameron, and again, this is from a 10,000-foot view. I'm not a Royals fan. I don't watch a lot of Royals baseball. I'm looking at the numbers. I'm shocked that there's a lot of Cardinals fans who seem to think that Brendan Donovan for Noah Cameron is a completely reasonable 1v1 trade that the Royals should jump at to make. Just going off his baseball savant, he's in the 99th percentile in breaking run value, which means his breaking pitches are some of the best in the entire league. Again, but his fastball and his off speed are average. Like he's never going to be a fastball pitcher. That's why a lot of Cardinals fans I talk to aren't a big fan of him. But at the same time, ball comes off the bat pretty at a low velo, 82nd percentile in Major League Baseball. He doesn't get barreled up a lot, and he doesn't let up a lot of hard hits. So does he profile more to an older Cardinals mindset? Yes, but the Cardinals are also still built around defense, and so it feels like he'd be pretty successful, and I feel like the Royals have no reason to let him go at the same time because he just put out an 134 ERA plus season. That means that Noah Cameron was 34% better than the average pitcher in the Major League Baseball this year. according to some things I've read, they didn't expect him to really need to be a starter this year, yet he still came out, started 24 games for them, gave them 140 innings pitched with a 2.99 ERA. So if they weren't expecting that, and he still gave them this, that tells me at least one of the angles you could see that is they might have even higher expectations for him this year because the ceiling they expected from him is not what it is, and it's even greater than they thought. And so why would Kansas City, I know they're in a win now mentality because of Salvi Perez, but why give up a guy who isn't a free agent until 2032? I keep saying 7, I guess it would be 6 years. 2032, why give up that much control in that roll the dice when you're trying to win because Salvador Perez and the rest of your pitching staff is kind of old? It just seems like with a guy like Bobby Witt, you want to say, well, we can go in with Witt and Cameron, a bunch of other young pitchers into a new era post Perez, and now we can reload. I get they want to win now, and this is a point I made the last time we talked about this, so I apologize for repeating myself, but this is my biggest point, which is when you are a team trying to win and you have a position where you have too much depth, rarely, unless you're trying to get the best player available, rarely do you trade from the top of your depth. And considering Lugo and Waka and Reagans are all older, I would argue that Noah Cameron, after what he showed last year, is as the number 4, as fourth in the Rookie of the Year voting. He would be at the top of their depth. So why would a team trying to win trade from the top of their depth, unless it's for the absolute top of the pile in what's available? Trading for Ketel Marte makes sense. Trading for Brendan Donovan, who's a very good player, but doesn't necessarily raise the ceiling of your team that much, certainly raises the floor by a lot. I just don't see how you give up one of the biggest commodities in baseball, left-handed pitching. But then you combine that with the other factor, and it becomes the greatest commodity in modern baseball, which is controlled left-handed pitching.
But as Chaim Bloom talked about, handedness isn't a big deal. I would much rather have a productive pitcher. Doesn't matter what hand he is. Just give me a productive guy.
I know, yeah. But we talk about lefties being,
and Brendan Donovan can be a difference maker. He's a guy that makes players around him better.
Yes,
because of his ability. Fundamentally, he's an outstanding Gold Glove quality defender. If you have him at second base and Bobby Witt at short, you probably have one of the 3 or 4 best keystone combos in all of baseball.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Both offensively and defensively. Yeah. He's better than what they had last year.
1 and 2 hole hitters too.
Yep.
Top of your lineup.
Right.
Beautiful combination.
And you've got a lot of other things going for you there. You've got Jack Caglione now, who needs in his second year to be better than he was. But they need to upgrade their offense, and they feel like they have depth in pitching. There's a lot of interesting things about this. However, I think one of them would be, let's say the Cardinals would make a move like that, okay? And they would go out and acquire a guy like Noah Cameron. I don't think anybody would be surprised if for opening day of the 2027 season, the Cardinals would have a rotation of Liberatore, Doyle, Quinn Matthews, Cameron, and maybe a Cooper Hjerpe. Here in Missouri, we can finally legally bet on sports because DraftKings, America's top-rated sportsbook app, is now live in our state, and we can make every game even more exciting with same-game parlays and money lines and props and more, all from your phone, all safe, secure, and easy to use. Missouri fans know game day, the tailgates and the noise and the passion. Now with DraftKings Sportsbook, you can bring that same energy to every snap and every touchdown and every win. And right now, Missouri customers can bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets instantly. No waiting, no nonsense, just pure action. Powered by America's top-rated sportsbook app. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app today and use the code STL Sports, like you see on your screen there. STL Sports. New Missouri customers bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets instantly. That's code STL Sports. The crown is yours in partnership with DraftKings Sportsbook.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 and over. Physically present in Missouri. Eligibility and restrictions apply. One single use odds boost per customer. Market boosted to plus 100 odds. Max bet $50. Expires at 8:20 p.m. Eastern Time, December 7th. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos.
All left-handed starters.
Ooh, yeah. I'm loving all that young pitching talent. Absolutely, 100%.
Oh, and let's throw Brandon Clark in there too.
Heck, just okay, fine. You know what? Trade Hjerpe and Donovan for Cameron. I'm fine with that.
Hjerpe's not healthy.
That's okay. They don't need him for 3 or 4 years. It's fine.
No.
They got all that other young pitching. We just need to give him an arm to make the deal.
Okay.
Again, if you're the Cardinals, again, I would love for that trade. Interesting point here from Boy. He says Martel's contract factors in as well. Okay.
4 years left for Marte.
Signed through 2030. So yeah, 4 years left, and he's getting 6 for
5 years left.
Yeah. My apologies. And he's getting 6 for 105. So
it's a good deal. It's a good contract.
It's a very good deal for him. But it is the Royals, though. So I mean, it's not even $20 million though. So I mean, it's not like they're adding a contract that becomes like problematic. But like at the same time, though, I wonder where Boy's going with this, because if maybe Boy's point is that if they trade for Ketel Marte to get him, they're trading one of their pitchers with a little salary, and therefore they definitely don't want to trade away Noah Cameron because they're going to be adding so much money. It is an interesting point.
Arizona isn't taking on salary.
Exactly. So yeah, that's a really good point, because Ketel Marte is. I need to do the math. My ability is
105 divided by 6 is 17 and a half.
17 and a half. And Brent Donovan's going to make 4 or 5. So I mean, it's an extra $12 million. Just it is a factor to Boy's point.
Yeah, but if you're saying that our window is open and you don't have
the Royals,
the Royals, yeah,
people are saying yes, they're trying to get Salvi one more run.
Okay, so if that is the case,
and they have a lot of good pitching,
and they don't have an extraordinarily highly payroll. Witt has a big contract. Salvi has a really team friendly contract. They aren't paying the first or third baseman, left, center, right. They aren't paying any other position players a lot of money. So you might as well get the best guy that's available out there. If the best second baseman available to other teams this offseason is going to be Ketel Marte, he's going to give you, if your goal is to have as many good players as possible, Ketel Marte is going to give you the best opportunity to improve your lot in the American League Central. And that includes over Brendan Donovan, who, as we've said, is a really nice player. He can help you win a lot, but Marte brings an element to the table that Brendan Donovan does not bring.
Yeah, and I just think, and that's the difference for me, is like trading away, getting that extra tier, an MVP tier player. You trade away controllable pitching for that. That's one of the few things you swing the fence for. Brendan Donovan makes you to your point. He makes them a better team, but is he worth trading away your best young pitcher with that much control? That's where I wonder if we're talking about there's the difference between those two tiers being that difference. Enrico Palazzo talking about Noah Cameron says not a high strikeout rate. I understand that baseball has changed, and I understand the Cardinals were behind the times and have to add more fireball pitching, but to look at a guy who just had the season Cameron has and has the potential that Cameron has and just goes, yeah, but he's not a high strikeout rate guy, I don't want him. I just think that's such a narrow way to view pitching. If every way you're looking at it now is if he doesn't throw 99, I don't want the Cardinals to get him. It's a fine opinion to have. I just think it's an unrealistic bar to set on every Cardinal pitcher. If he's not an elite high strikeout rate guy, don't want him at all. I think that sounds like a fad way to look at things. Like I get increasing the overall amount of speed in your
Major
lineup.
League average strikeout rate is 22.2%. His strikeout rate, hold on, let me get to 22.2. His strikeout rate was 20.5. He's essentially league average.
You can only strike out people with fastballs. You can't strike out people with having one of the best breaking balls in the game.
I would disagree with that. I think so with Clayton Kershaw.
I think there's a lot of pitchers out there who disagree with it. I would disagree with it as well, and that's why I think fans just being like, "Well, he's not a fireballer. I don't expect much from him. Why would the Cardinals trade Donovan for him?" There's no logical line of thought there.
His walk rate, by the way, 7.7, league average 8.4.
It's a great control pitcher.
Yeah. So there's nothing wrong with him.
Boy, he's a back end of the rotation arm. Unless your own what other numbers are you diving into? Is it the relatively high FIP? Is that what you're really breaking down to me as the reason why you're not a big Noah Cameron guy? I don't know. 25-year-old with 140 innings and a 2.99 ERA seems like he's got some potential to him.
He turned 26 last
Just turned
July.
26. Okay,
yeah, so he'll turn 27. But I would take him. I wonder, by the way, he's from St. Joseph, where training camp for the Chiefs takes place. I wonder if that plays a role for the Royals in not wanting to trade a hometown guy.
Of course I'll take him. Yes. My point is, why I don't understand why the Royals would just take a 1-for-1 trade. That's been my point the entire time, is why they would say for Brendan Donovan, all our most controllable, best young pitcher for a guy with, yes, they probably signed him to an extension, so maybe you factor in, but does only have 2 more years of control. He is 29. Trading a pitcher who you have control through 2032, who just had a sub-3 24 start season for a 29-year-old just seems like it's not the best move for a baseball team.
Well,
unless you're really desperate to win now,
pitching
and you have a lot
where
of
it's
pitching.
at. But that is a team that struggled in the run scoring department,
And
if
they
I'm
have
not mistaken.
So much pitching, and get back to what I was saying earlier. Why trade from the top of their depth? They have a lot of pitching, but why not trade from the Kolek and Bubic side of things? And the thing is, this gets down to, though, not also knowing what they think, and that's why reading what the Kansas City writers are writing about this guy is important, because Bubic just had an all-star season. And he's a young guy, but at the same time, is when you look at him having the all-star season this year, do you weigh that? How do you weigh that? It was 116 innings this year as an all-star pitcher, but how do you weigh that to the 300 previous innings of major league innings from him, where he was a fairly average pitcher? And you know what is it? Or is he a guy who's just like, hey, he's 27, he's hitting his prime. This is who Chris Bubic is. And so we don't need a Noah Cameron, because we have another 27, 28-year-old who is going to be controlled for another couple of years. Now, Bubic, again, he's a free agent 2027. So we're only talking about 1 more year of control there. So I know it's boring, and it sucks that all these conversations aren't just about the player that they are in the field. And we have to always couch these conversations as how much control do they have left? How much control do they have left?
That's where we are
now. But that's where we are now.
If you're the Cardinals and you're building for the future and you don't plan on being good, and they don't plan on being a World Series contender for a couple more years, that's the way they're looking at it. So we just have to try to reflect, as we discuss this, what the Cardinals are looking for. You'd like for the teams that you like to be able to not have to even make trades. Just go out and sign free agents, plug in one hole, and then you're the one player away from the World Series.
By the way, and you say that, and it's funny you say that, because when me and Joe were before their Cardinals 365, we're kind of batting around why the Royals, like, do they need to swing the fence for it now and sacrifice a future window? And it's kind of interesting, because he's talking about, like, Jonathan India is kind of against it. You know, they got a couple of players who are up against it. And it's like, yeah, but at the same time, it's like, how many all-star players do they already have? And it feels like, if you're the Royals, wanting to improve for the next 3 or 4 years makes sense. Needing to improve for the next year or two for Salvador Perez seems like it's a little bit of a risky jump from them to take, to be like, we got to get Salvi one more run. I understand it. I get the emotion of it, but he already won championships. They, in my opinion, if I was a Royals fan, I'd be saying, listen, I like competing this year, but this has to be a long-term conversation of who is going to be here in 4 years with Bobby Witt. That's where the conversation needs to be.
And well, I don't completely disagree with that. It is a franchise that has a relatively new owner. He just came aboard a couple of years ago. They were 6th in earned run average last year and 26th in runs per game. So they do need to upgrade the offense, and they have a lot of good pitching. So it'll be interesting to see what Kansas City does and what their interest level is in a guy like Donovan. They might be more inclined, if they were going to move a guy like Cameron. The Diamondbacks traded Merrill Kelly. They probably aren't going to have Zach Gallen back. The Diamondbacks are going to need starting pitching. They won't have Burns at the beginning of the season. A more logical trade might be Arizona and Kansas City working a deal where a guy like Marte would go for a guy like Cameron rather than a guy like Brendan Donovan.
Yeah, I mean, that one makes a lot of sense.
Yep.
Last, we'll get Henry Wells here to close out. Diehard Cardinals fans are all in on supporting this front office and this ownership group. Diehards will continue to savagely push back against Cardinal Karens who take a piñata to this organization.
Yes, we will.
Well,
Karens.
and my argument is when something's filled with candy, hit it with a stick.